Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and for today's video we're doing a really late October wrap up. And now my dogs are barking. Fantastic. We have come to that point in the year where my schedule and the sun's schedule no longer match up. It's currently 5 p.m. and really close to dark. So the only thing I can do about the lighting is apologize, so here's the first of many apologies. I apologize about the lighting. I'm gonna do the best I can to pre-film, like on the weekends and stuff when I have better lighting, but there are also days when it's incredibly overcast when I do have time to film, so it's not on my side. I try, but I'm making do, so I apologize. That was a very long-winded intro and it did not need to be, so let's get started. Again, this is really late. Time got away from me. I suck. It's fine. I read 4 books in the month of October, so not my greatest reading month, but also not my greatest month mentally, so it's fine. I read 2 graphic novels. I read 1 book physically, and then I listened to an audiobook as well, and for the most part, I enjoyed what I read. So let's do this. I'm gonna try and make this a shorter video since there are only 4 books to talk about and I tend to blab on for way too long. The first book that I read in October was a graphic novel, and that was Bingo Love by T. Franklin, Jen St. Ong, and Joy Sun. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing those correctly. This is a graphic novel about 2 women who fell in love in like the 50s, I think, when it was really not acceptable to be gay, lesbian, anything else that was not like straight. Just people didn't have open minds, and so they're falling in love with each other and nobody's happy about it and things go down. Good synopsis, Erin. This I had never really heard of before. I had just seen it in the bookstore and really wanted to read it. I really enjoyed the art style and the story. It was really cute and I think it had a great message. It made me very emotional while I was reading it too, just because it was so sad to see these people that are like, you know, in love with each other but don't get to be together because of the time period and how horrible people can be. It was heartbreaking. So I really enjoyed this. My only complaint was that it's really short. I mean, a lot of graphic novels are short, but this one's really short and it just kind of felt a little bit rushed. But then I noticed like throughout certain pages that it had like a little asterisk and it would say like, read this section of like this other thing to get like the backstory of this. It's like, why not just include it all in one graphic novel? Seems silly to me. Overall, I did really enjoy this. It was very wholesome. It was a heartwarming story. I don't want to say it was wholesome, but it was a heartwarming story. I gave this a 4.75 out of 5 stars, and it was adorable. I highly recommend it. I haven't heard anyone talk about it, so go pick it up if you're interested. I don't know. The next book that I read is one of my new favorite books of all time, and that is Suicide Notes by Michael Thomas Ford. This is a semi-dark book. It has dry, sarcastic humor, but this is about a boy named Jeff. He's 15, and on New Year's he wakes up in the hospital in the psych ward because he had tried to commit suicide. And so he wakes up and people are talking to him and he's like, hello, I do not need to be here. I am not crazy like the rest of these patients that are here. Like, just let me go home. What I did was not that big a deal. I just did it because I was bored. Like, you guys need to chill. I'm fine. And so the doctors look at him and go, no. You are here for 45 days. If you don't want to talk right now, that's fine. But you're going to stay for 45 days and we'll just wait. And so he's like, okay, but like, I'm not going to talk to you. So we follow him while he's in the psych ward and he gets to know all of the other people that are in the psych ward with him and see his therapy appointments and like just visits with his family and how that affects him and how they react to everything. And it was hard to read at times, but I also really loved it because I could relate to Jeff because of all of the mental health stuff that he was going through and his coping mechanisms, because he definitely uses humor as a defense mechanism, which I for sure do. And it was just nice to see that, because most of the time people are like, that's such a dark joke, like don't say that, you can't joke about that. But like, that's how I let off steam. Like, I gotta. If that's not your sense of humor, that's fine, but that's mine. You can't tell me I can't make jokes about that. So, I don't know. I just, even with the heavy topics that this was dealing with, it still had a very lighthearted feel throughout a decent amount of the book, and I really enjoyed that, because otherwise I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to finish this book, because I have a hard time reading things that hit too close to home. So I wasn't sure if this was going to do that or not, but it definitely didn't. I read it in 3 sittings. I was so obsessed with it, and I think in my vlog I said I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars because I didn't love the ending. It wasn't that I didn't love the ending, I was just expecting something different. I wasn't expecting it to go in that direction, but like, it's a 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favorite books of the year. It's incredible. There are a lot of content warnings, and it's been a minute since I've read this, so I would look up reviews before you read this to read the content warnings, just so that you can be aware, because I don't want to miss any. There is a lot of heavy subject matter that is dealt with in this book. I think you can tell that by the title, but it has a very lighthearted feel to it, and that is what made me connect to it so much. So I'm saying the same things over and over again. I need to shut up. The next book that I read, I listened to on audiobook, and that was The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. This one is an adult romance contemporary book. It's not super like steamy, so if that's not your thing, you're good. I don't necessarily love those scenes in books. I kind of just zone them out. So this was not that if you're looking for something that's a little less. But I had higher hopes for this one, and I feel like, again, it was too short and was trying to do too much in too little time. This is about a girl named Nina who her mom gave birth to her. She knew the dad, but he didn't want to be involved, so she was like, bye. And so she was raised by a nanny because her mom was out traveling for work. And so she doesn't really have that concept of family. She has friends, and that's fine, but she doesn't know how familial relationships look, because her mom's not there, they don't talk to her mom's family, and she doesn't know who her dad is. She just lives with a nanny. So one day, a lawyer comes to Nina's work, I think, and is like, are you Nina? She's like, yeah. He's like, okay, your dad just died. And she's like, I don't have a dad. And he goes, you do, this is him, you have to come to this will reading. Also, you have a ton of family and they really want to meet you. So, yeah, they'll be in touch. And she's like, excuse me? I have what now? And so it's just her getting to know her family and what's going on with that. But it is also a romantic contemporary, and so there is a guy that she plays trivia with, because that is a really big part of her life, and a romance ensues between them, and that felt underdeveloped, and every romance scene just made me cringe. I didn't like it. It wasn't good. In my opinion, it wasn't that well written. It just was really awkward, and I was like embarrassed for them. The family interactions, though, felt decently realistic. And then there was her whole, like, love of books that was trying to be explored, and that was, like, one of her defining characteristics, and it was a lot going on throughout the book, because there was a bunch of different family threads that were trying to be woven in, and then the romance, and then this, and then that, and so it was just a lot. it wasn't that it was bad, it was just a lot in a really short book. And so I gave this 3 stars. Wasn't the worst thing I've ever read, but you could skip it. And then ending this video on a happy note, one of the best books I've read and one of the best books that I read this month was The Tea Dragon Festival by Katie O'Neill. This is a graphic novel. This is the prequel, but also the sequel. It came out second, but it goes everything that happens in this book takes place before everything that happens in the Tea Dragon Society. So this is just more in the Tea Dragon world, and you get a lot more backstory and of the fantastical elements and like the lore of tea dragons and everything, and somehow the art was better in this. I don't know how she did that because the art was amazing in the Tea Dragon Society, and so that was incredible. And it's also just a longer book, so you get to hang out with the characters more and form deeper connections with them. I loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good, and again, so wholesome. It just, yeah, it was good. I loved it. It feels like all of the little minute complaints that I had about the Tea Dragon Society were fixed in the Tea Dragon Festival, and they were really minor. It was just like, I wish we could have gotten more of the world and the fantasy and backstory, and that's what this was, so it's perfect. I hope that we get more in this like series because it's so cute and they just make you feel good. So, loved this. 5 out of 5 stars, and there's nothing else to say. It just makes me smile. That's it. Those were the 4 books that I managed to read in October. Not my best reading month, but not my worst. I hope that you guys enjoyed the books that you read this month. Let me know if you have any differing opinions or just want to talk to me. I love talking to you. I hope that you're doing well, reading, mentally, and otherwise. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys!